Mr. Riggs, from what I gathered, this was April 19th, 1945. Is that the correct date that
Yes.
this
Yes.
took place in Leipzig? Can you tell me about some of these gentlemen and some of the events that transpired?
Well, we had taken half of the city. I was with the 2nd Infantry Division, Company D, 23rd Infantry Regiment. I was in the heavy weapons squad that fired the water-cooled 30 caliber machine gun. And that's the gun that we used during World War II. We had taken half the city, and the city was divided by a man-made canal. And as you can see in the photo here, every so often there was bridges across this canal. And we had to go across these bridges to get to the other side of the city. And they had blocked these bridges with burnout tanks and old street cars that had turned sideways and anything that would obstruct our going across the bridge. So there was a park, sort of a park out there in front of this building, and they were dug in down there. We knew who they were, and they were dug in, but we could not see them. So that's the reason why we had orders to go up on the 3rd floor of this apartment building and set up our guns to spray the area out there in the park to try to keep them pinned down until our troops could cross the bridge. And that's the reason that we were there, and that's the reason that Robert Capp had taken these pictures. He followed us up there. We were familiar with our regular Army photographers, especially whenever an important objective was taken. And during combat, things are happening so fast, and so many things are happening at the same time. You're only concerned about saving your own hide. So I particularly didn't pay any attention to the photographer that followed us up there and went through this window here. And after all of this happened, it was just another event as far as we were concerned, because we were familiar with losing men and people getting killed. So it was about 3 weeks after this happened that our commanding officer told us that our pictures came out in the May 14th issue of Life magazine. And as a result, when we found out our pictures came out in Life magazine, I contacted my wife in the States, and she obtained this copy, which is the original copy. And as a result, I have maintained this copy all through these years.
Right.
So that's the reason why that I have the copy, and that's the reason why that, and I had forgotten, that's because so many things happened during the war that you tried to block out.
Right.
And as a result, a lot of these events I forgot all about.
Right.
Didn't pay any attention to it until just in the last several months why they began to try to find out who the identity of these were, because Robert Capa, when he taken these pictures, he entitled it "The Last Man to Die." However, it was not the last man to die, but it was near the end of the war, and he was so famous for his photography that he preserved a lot of these pictures.
Right.
And as a result, they wanted to interview me, since they researched and found out that I was the only living one in the picture.
Right. Now, what time of day was it when these pictures were taken and the events here transpired?
To be exact, I don't remember the exact time of day because we had been fighting all day, and you lose track of time in combat like that. But I would say it was near noon in that particular area, at least.
Right. How soon after the war was over did you get to come back home?
Well, see, I was with the 2nd Infantry Division, and the 2nd Division is one of the oldest infantry divisions in the U.S. Army. And they have a good reputation as a fighting force, and they were very successful in the war in Europe. And they had in mind that to bring the 2nd Division back to the States. And we learned afterwards that we were scheduled to hit Tokyo Beach in October of that year because the war was still going on in the Pacific. So about a month or maybe 6 weeks after the war ended, they began to process us a step at a time back to the States. And we came back to the States somewhere in the middle of July of 45.
Right.
And we were to take special training for the Japanese War. And it was then, while we were home, that the war ended in the Pacific. And as a result, we didn't have to go to Japan.
Right. Going back to April 19th, what led you to go up into this building and set up your machine gun?
Because they were prohibiting our troops from crossing this bridge. And after we got up on this balcony, we knew they were firing at us because in the pictures here you can see that where they had been firing and they had knocked the plaster off the balcony. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we only fired one person at a time because we was in plain open view.
Right. And
they could see us, and only one person would fire the gun at a time, and we'd alternate because the danger involved. We would do that to prevent one person being exposed all the time. I had just been firing the gun, and I just stepped back off of the gun, and he'd taken over, and that's how come he just stepped back behind the door facing there against his grandfather clock, and probably 30 seconds, I just happened to look up whenever I saw the bullet pierce the right side of his nose.
What did you have to do then?
Well, as soon as I seen him, he was hit. I knew he was dead, but I ran downstairs to get a medic. And of course, the medic came up to examine him. And in the process of these pictures here, you can see that there was no use because blood was all over the place.
Right.
The bullet that hit him, that killed him, it ricocheted around the room, and it's just a miracle that it did. The ricochet bullet didn't hit me.
Right. Looking at the pictures here, I see that he's still in place, and you're having to lean over his body there. I guess the German fire was so heavy that nobody could get to him, or what happened there?
Well, as soon as he got hit, somebody had to take the gun. So that's how come he to jump over him and start firing the gun.
After while this was taking place, how much longer did it take for the American troops to clean the Germans out of that area so y'all could cross the bridge?
I think it was. It's been so long. It's sort of vague, but I'd say maybe in a couple of hours that he began to cross the bridge on the other side.
Mm-hmm. The young man that was killed, what was his name?
Well, we knew him as Robert Bowman, and that's what we called him. But his in the research, we found out that his real name was Raymond instead of Robert. He always wore a pin on his lapel and with his initials on it. And you can see in the picture here the pin. And sometimes we referred to him because he was so fond of that pen and his initials. Sometimes we referred to him as RB.
Right. Now, I understand that you're going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. this September.
It's supposed to, yeah,
As
the
part
5th of
of-
September, yes.
Right. As part of the Music City Honor Flight.
Yes.
What sites are you going to visit there?
It's my understanding we would just be viewing the memorials. The one in particular is, I think, I'm not sure, but I heard somebody say it hasn't been built about several years. I
Right.
don't recall just when it was built.
I think the World War II memorial is rather new.
Yes, yes, yeah.
My family lived up there from 2001 to 2005, and we got to go to all the different memorials several different times. And
Do you recall when it was built? World War II memorial?
I want to say that it probably was finished after 2005. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was after we left that they completed that one.
I don't know. But that's my understanding. We would just be visiting the war memorials.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to Washington, D.C.?
I've been to Washington, D.C., yes,
Mm-hmm.
but not on a tour like this to see
Right.
just the memorials.